The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC Experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC Experience Mastermind, where purpose is found.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Buenos dias.
What a great day, isn't it?
That it is.
It is. Every day is a great day. We're alive and breathing.
You know, it's interesting because, as we always say, two people can look at the same thing and see something completely different. So what we consider to be a beautiful, gorgeous day, somebody else could be like, oh, or me, this sucks, not the best day. You know, I can't wait till tomorrow. This is not feeling right already. It's a matter of perception, how you choose to see what is around you. And it's, again, I think it's a matter of just controlling the thoughts and the mind and the spirit. I find joy in the midst of a gloomy, cloudy day.
I love that. Well put. I think you touched on something important, Jose, is that our mindset is so important. Though, I mean, your thinking is almost kind of like the, it's a connection to our soul, our person, our being. I mean, it has so much power to either elevate us or limit us.
Yeah.
I always say it's sunny somewhere.
It is.
See, for me, I'm in New York, and right now it is beautiful blue skies. It is sunny. So the whole thing that we have to consider is maybe it's not sunny where we are. I mean, it is where I am, but maybe it's not. On certain days, it's not. And if we always think of doom and gloom, then yeah, that's how we start. See, the thing is, my room when I wake up in the morning is so dark. Well, also, I also wake up before most people wake up anyway. It is pitch black. And in my mind, it's going to be a gorgeous, beautiful day. And I always say some people just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. I said, stop sleeping on the wrong side. Get to the right side.
If anybody wakes up in not the best of moods in my house, I say, I want you to go back to your bed and come out the other side.
I love that. Let's reset that.
So today's topic is pretty interesting, right? Reality, what we perceive to be real versus make-believe. And when I say what we perceive, because each one of us, and Jose said it, we all have a different perspective of the same thing. Because you can be in a stadium and somebody can be performing and everybody has a different view or an idea of whether the performance was good or bad. And for me, it's called perspective. And it's called where you are personally. What are you seeing? How do you see things? And it's very interesting. This is why when there's a crime, they try to get every angle so that they can complete a story. And I like what Jose talks about pancakes. Go ahead, Jose. Tell us about the pancakes.
So this is a Dr. Philism. And he basically said one time on one episode, and believe it or not, for years I was taking notes on Dr. Phil. Not that he's the end all be all to anything, but I just enjoy his content. I think he's pretty smart. So I had a journal, And because it's reality TV, he always dropped golden nuggets and quotes and ideas, and I learned some valuable lessons about life and how to maneuver people and behavior and stuff like that. So I would take a lot of notes. And then one day he said something, and I was like, "Ooh, that's definitely a writer downer." And he said, "Listen, guys," he's like, "I don't care how flat you make a pancake, it still has two sides."
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. I was like, "Oh, I gotta write that down."
It does have two sides. So does a coin. And so does most stories, don't they?
I love that. I had to, you see me writing that down. I'm like, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Your perspective is so important. And when I thought about this topic, it was all in my area code, zip code, whatever you want to call it, because it's personal to me. And the work that I do with high achieving leaders and even myself, it's a choice. You don't just magically wake up with the right mindset and always feeling your best. And I've got two of the most influential folks that I know who have such a discipline in their morning routines that set you up for success. So it's choosing. And so I would ask that question of you both is what is your process of mentally choosing and deciding to wake up on the right side of the bed, to choose to be in reality versus the make-believe version of yourselves?
Great question. I'll have Jose answer first.
I'm going to go first. I was going to go first because I'm not doing it at the level that Sifu's doing it right now, primarily because my 1-year-old is waking up throughout the night. So because he wakes up throughout the night, if I still stick to my 4 to 7 a.m. morning routine, I would not be functional properly for my calls throughout the day. So there's a fine line of, adjusting and tweaking as you go in life, because there's ebbs and flows, highs and lows, peaks and valleys in life. And you just got to kind of adjust as you go, constant course correct. Right. So right now I'm not waking up at 4 as I normally would. I'm waking up at around 6. Right. And that's primarily because of the fact that my son has been, again, waking up sometimes 3 times a night, sometimes 10 times a night. So it's kind of varies lately because he's had what they call sleep regression, which usually happens around 1.5 years old, give or take. And that's exactly what he's going through. And primarily because he got sick and he had croup, and they gave him some steroids, like breathalyzer steroids. And they said the steroids takes a few weeks to get out of your system. So, and that can affect your sleep, which is exactly kind of what's going on. So anyway, I say all that to say that normally outside of this little phase that I'm in right now, what motivates me and what makes me inspired to do it, because inspiration is temporary. Motivation is temporary. Inspiration is what kind of helps you last and go long term. So for me, what inspires me is knowing that there's people out there that are counting on me. I have a lot of people that I'm serving, right? That I'm here to show up for, to add value to. I have to constantly create. I have to improve myself. Because if I'm not constantly improving myself, guess what's going to come out of my mouth? The same old thing I said yesterday and 6 months before and a year before. And you're always going to hear me say the same things because I'm not growing. And by default, if I'm not growing, then I'm decaying over time, right? So as a leader of leaders, I have a high standard for myself. And that means I have to show up like most people aren't willing to show up, so that I can deliver the way most people can't deliver. And that's what separates the true leaders. The biggest leaders in the world are the ones who just set the tone. They don't care about how they feel. They don't care about, a lot of the variables that a lot of other people would care about, right? They just know the job must get done one way or another, right? And that's what's required of me. And I also know that if I want to create the right legacy and the right future and lifestyle for my family, that's going to require me to live in discomfort. It's going to require me to do some things that I don't necessarily want to do. Who said I love waking up at 4 a.m. and doing it 4 to 7? I never said that. Now I've gotten accustomed to that, and I'm used to it, and I, to some degree, enjoy the things I do during that time. But do I actually enjoy? Would I rather be sleeping? Probably, But again, I understand that leaders must do things that are uncomfortable, and that's just one of the many things that I do that are uncomfortable. So, Sifu, over to you.
Yeah, I love that answer, Jose, because we do have to do things that are uncomfortable. Because if we're way too comfortable, this is why there's a company out there, and it's called Lazy Boy. And that's a great name if you think about it, because a lot of people just want to come home, plop on the couch, and just chill. And when you do that very often, life passes you by. And for me, it starts, my morning starts the night before, right? And I know Jose has a book, and I know I have it here somewhere. Let me see, is that it? No, that's a different one. It's here. I have it. I'm in the, am I different? Oh, that's the one. I'm in a different office. So, but what winds up happening is that,
I gotta send you a second copy so you have it in both offices. Look at that.
look at that. So I go to sleep with intention. Let me tell you what that means to me. I don't just close my eyes and fall asleep. I pray, I meditate, and I ask, because I know that we all have this incredible mind, and the mind never shuts down, ever. But so many people think it does, and it does not. My own son yesterday said to me, Dad, sometimes I just want to shut my mind down. And I said, really? I said, but in reality, that doesn't happen, because your mind is going to keep going. Even when you meditate, even when you think of nothing, your mind is still going, because your mind, or should we say our brain, is controlling our breath, the blood flow, your heart. It's controlling your whole body, if you will. It's an incredible, incredible gift that we have. So I asked God to guide me in my sleep so that I can have this incredible brain, this computer, to keep computing. I may not know exactly what is going to happen during it, but I asked for that guidance. And so my morning already started beautifully, because I'm talking to the creator. I'm asking for his guidance, for his hand over me. So every morning when I wake up, I already know it's going to be a beautiful day. And that's my reality. That's how I go with reality versus make believe.
Mhm.
Because I can lie to myself, but I rather always be honest with myself. Because if I lie to myself, I'm probably going to lie to you too.
That's a common thing. Is what was it? The 11th commandment that I say all the time.
Yes,
Is, the 11th commandment is, "Thou shalt not fool thyself."
that's right.
Right? You might be able to fool yourself, but over time, you're not going to be able to fool everyone all the time. Right? At some point, you're going to get caught. At some point, you're going to get found out, and that's not fun, because that means you have to cover up this lie over that lie and over that lie. You got to remember all the lies, and eventually somebody will say, "Wait, didn't you say this or didn't you say that?" And then when people start chirping behind your back, then it becomes a big problem. And all of a sudden, one day, somebody's going to call you out, and hopefully, I don't lie like this. And that's kind of the unfortunate reality of being truthful to yourself. And the reality is, the more you lie to yourself and deceive yourself, more, go back to Dr. Phil, when it comes to behavior, you start to believe your own lies,
Mm.
Mhm.
become delusional. You start to believe things that are just completely not true, and you will actually defend it in the court and say, no, this is the reality, because you have distorted what is reality and what's fake, right? So which is
Yeah.
crazy, and that's actually a real psychological thing. But since we're talking about make believe and reality, which I want to, of course, turn it over to you guys, and I guess we'll start with Renee. But for me, I was thinking about this topic, and Renee, just so you know, I have the same level of visibility as you, because just for those of you who don't know, Sifu is actually the one who creates the topic titles of these calls, right? Of these shows. And I show up and I'm like, okay, this is what we're talking about. Let's go, right? Because, and this is the one thing, is what you'll notice is I can jump on any topic and go into it and talk about it. Why? Because I'm in the trenches, because I'm in the lab. I'm doing the things. I'm in there with all of you, building and growing and failing forward and falling on my face and coming back strong and bouncing back and getting the no's and getting the challenges and all the things, right? So I'm in there with all of us, right? So I can speak to these things. Now, if I was on the sidelines or I'm just bringing water to the players in the field, then maybe I'm not able to speak to a lot of these things, which would be a lot more difficult. And I would probably tell Sifu, hey, man, I need like at least 3 weeks notice on what you're going to so fear not, Renee. Like I'm also coming in, like, go, okay, this is what we're talking about today. Okay, let's do it. So for me, I was thinking, okay, reality versus make believe. What direction do I want to go with that? Well, it's quite simple. And I say this is a very powerful topic, so I'm grateful that you brought this up, Sifu, because if you look at it, social media, branding, all the hype that's going on with people's content and what people are doing, it can blur lines, right? It can quite literally blur lines to what looks to be successful versus what actually creates success, right? There's this fine line of like, oh, I see all these things this person is saying. One thing is what they're saying. Another thing is what are they actually doing? One thing is what they're teaching. Another thing is how they're showing up for themselves, right? One thing is these are the results you could have, guys, but I don't have those results, right? So you got to look at what's reality versus make believe, and it's hard to tell because some people have that poker face, right? They're strong and believable, and it sounds good and it sounds fantastic, but it's like going to a business class on how to run a successful business in college from a professor who has no business. Right. So for me, if I'm going to learn how to run a successful business, I want to learn from somebody who's actually doing it, who has the fruit on the tree, who's already achieved the results I'm looking for. Right. It doesn't have to mean that they are multi millionaires or billionaires. It just means that they are at least 10 steps ahead of me. They don't have to be 100 steps or 1,000 steps ahead of me. They just have to be ahead of me. But I have to know that it's reality versus make believe. So that is the thing, because I want to know that what I'm seeing has substance. I want to know that there's substance behind what people are trying to teach me and share on social media, not just illusion. Okay, so because there's a lot of illusion out there, guys. There is a ton of illusion. And who am I to sit here and try to determine who's telling the truth and who's lying? Then I get all judgy and I become that guy who's calling, So I'm using a blanket statement to say that this is a reality because I know it's a reality. Right. And do I know, maybe I can drop names? Perhaps I could if, but it doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve you. And it's just a waste of energy and a waste of, it's bad juju, right? Just throwing out names and trying to throw people under the bus. I'm not into that. But what I will tell you is that that's a reality. It's truly a reality that there's people out there that are just selling snake oil and telling you this and that and giving you what seems to be substance when it's really just illusion. So entrepreneurship, guys, is not just about looking successful and talking success. It's actually becoming valuable and having real context to what you're doing.
Oh my gosh. So much wisdom and nuggets in there. I'm just like, can't write fast enough to capture all of them. When I think about just the thought of reality, the reality, it's happening in real time. It's actually how we're showing up in that moment. And then when I think about that make believe, it's that story, like the fairy tale that you're telling yourself that you're willing and you're wanting to. It's almost the lie that you're feeding to yourself and looking for validation. And I noticed that there's times when I want to show up differently and you want to stay in the same rooms that will allow you to be comfortable. But when you connect yourself with people who are going to challenge those expectations, challenge how you say you want to show up and really call you on that. And I'm grateful that I have the right people around me who are going to call, BS, not necessarily in those words, but are going to challenge and saying, okay, this is what you said you wanted, but how are your actions validating that? So either number one, it's going to bring it to the front and you're going to see evidence of that, or it's going to convict you and say, okay, why am I not doing that? What's keeping me and holding me back? Sifu mentioned earlier the power of prayer and spiritual. My faith is extremely important to me, and I will say that I want to and I should pray about every decision, and that's what I choose to do. But there are times when I use that as the crutch and say, oh, well, let me just, I'm praying about it. And when I know I've already gotten release and I've gotten the answer, but I want to use that to make me feel comfortable so that I don't have to step into the reality.
Wow. Thinking about reality, people capitalize on make-believe. A lot of people don't capitalize on reality. And when people capitalize on make-believe, think of Hollywood. Billions upon billions upon billions of dollars have been made and are still being made with make-believe. Listen, I love superhero movies or action movies, and I love all this stuff. But who here can fly? Now, when I was younger, I knew that Batman could not fly until somebody told me that's not true. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, he could fly. If he fell off a building, he's going to fly down. The reality is he's going to go splat unless he uses something from his tool belt and catches onto something. But Hollywood has been really great at letting us escape our reality, if you will. Because sometimes, yeah, you know what? It's fun to sit on the couch and watch something. I mean, the He-Man movies coming out, Spider-Man movies coming out, all these different, and I enjoy them so much because it takes me away from my reality and it allows me to dream, if you will. It's like, wow, what if I was Spider-Man? Or what if I was this? Or what if I was that? Or what if I can fly? So for a moment, and I'm talking about a split moment, you can have that idea where you just let everything go and you allow somebody to tell a story. Why do you think Steve Jobs, who created something that's real, that it's tangible, that you can actually hold in your hand, fell in love with storytelling? Because the stories, this is the way I put it, it's the stories that amplify your life. And for me, this is why I love telling stories. This is why I love listening to stories. And then it's for us to decipher what's real in that story and what's been added. Because you can say to somebody, hey, how was your camping trip? And all of a sudden, maybe in reality, it was boring. They went there, they built their tent, and maybe they went and walked in nature. But then they're going to go, oh yeah, there was a bear, and there was because they want to make it more exciting when they tell us. But in reality, it was just another camping day. So how do we tell stories? Do we amplify them, or do we tell them as they actually happened? So like Jose said earlier, when somebody's saying something, who are we to judge whether it was real or fake? I'm not a judge. I may be wearing a black shirt, but I don't have the black robe. And even if I had the black robe, I still couldn't judge.
Well, I've got to chime in here. I'm drinking my walnut shot that has what is this called? Turmeric in it.
Turmeric.
Very tough, but anyway, you said some amazing things, and yeah, who am I to judge other people and that? Yeah, I don't spend energy and time on that, right? Frankly, I don't have the bandwidth to call people out and to be like, oh, look at that person or indirectly hinting towards somebody's direction or maybe directly calling somebody by name, right? Or just calling a batch of people and kind of alluding to certain things. I don't have time for that, because to me, that I mean, for some people that might work for what they do and who they're about and their, you know, brand and kind of their how they show up and, you know, that kind of a thing. That's cool. And I don't judge anybody. Like, if that works for you, go for it. But for me, I don't have the energy and time and bandwidth to just look for holes in people's what they say and try to poke holes in everything. Like, that's not me. Like, all I care about is the people that I'm serving, making sure that the information I'm delivering is accurate, making sure that the information I'm delivering is valuable, making sure I'm improving myself all the time and holding myself accountable to high standards. And that's the best we can do. We can only control us, right? And me taking time and energy to try to throw other people under the bus or try to call out people or expose people and that kind of thing, like, you know, I already know it's a reality. I think we all know it's a reality. I think we all know that some people just live in delusion world, and that's okay. But I'm not going to sit here and take my time and energy to go into that, because I have more important fish to fry, right? I have to worry about me. I have to worry about my family. I have to worry about the people that I serve. So it's just a very different ballgame. Now, what I can say is we do live in a world, folks. Okay, are you ready for this? We do live in a world where people can rent their lifestyle. We live in a world where people can fake the influence. You know how many rap videos I've seen out there where people don't even own the cars and they don't own the jet that they're in. You know how many people are taking these private jets and making it seem like that, you know, I'm this big time influencer in a jet that they don't own, and then they didn't even rent it themselves. They had a bigger player who rented it for them. And, you know, and people buy followers these days, right? They're buying, oh, look, I have 1 million followers on Instagram. Okay, well, how many of those are real followers versus bots and bot followers, right? How about borrowing credibility? You're constantly looking to attach your name to bigger names and to make it seem like that's what you're about, when it has nothing to do with you. They're a different person with different influence and different value, and you're trying to borrow their credibility, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. People do that all the time. I've done it many times myself, the borrowing credibility piece, right? Which is why I would write a co-authorship with a book that goes international bestseller, because I'm borrowing that credibility. But people do it all the time. And then manufacture perception. How many people are manufacturing perception out there? So between the renting the lifestyles and faking the influence and buying the followers and borrowing credibility and manufacturing this, you know, perception of who we are, I mean, let me tell you something. At some point, reality is going to audit that story.
Ooh.
At some point, reality is going to audit that story. You're either going to get caught, found out, you're going to slip, you're going to start to not be able to keep up the lie because it's been going on for so long. You've said it to so many different people, and then all of a sudden a big name calls you out live on social media, and then you're like, oh, actually, and you know, and it becomes a thing. And you think about how much stress it takes and how much effort it takes to have to defend a lie, right? and then I'll end with this and turn it back over to you guys. But I just love this topic of reality versus make believe, because it's a reality. It's a truth. There is a lot of make believe out there, and if we're not careful, we're going to fall susceptible to what people say, right? Because right now, make believe, I'll tell you right now, entrepreneurs that live in the make believe world, it's all about optics. It's about vanity metrics, right? Do you know how many people I closed last week? I've seen all kinds of posts on social media that is designed to give vanity metrics, so you can think, oh my gosh, look how much this person is crushing it, right? You know, empty branding, that's a thing. Temporary attention, the things that we put up on social media just to get that little rush of attention. Surface level influence. I mean, these are all things that are not reality. It's make believe. Now, when it comes to reality, folks, real entrepreneurs, you know what real entrepreneurs do? They develop things like something called skills, right? Real entrepreneurs develop something called skills. They develop relationships. They're not just networking, they're building relationships. They're developing systems. They're building their character for real, like about what they're really about as a human being. What you see on social media is what you get in reality of real life. They're not two different people. I'm not going to be like this well-to-do man of values and faith and love and family and integrity and character and here, And then at night, or when I go to business trips, you see me wearing sunglasses indoors, like gangster shades and cursing and and just behaving in a whole different way. You won't see that because again, character is a thing. Reputation. Real entrepreneurs are building a reputation, right? It takes a long time to build it. It takes like this to get rid of it, right? We're getting real results, not fake results, not bought results, not manipulated perception type results, and we have longevity. We're long-term players. We're not overnight flash in the pan type of people. So that's the difference as far as I'm concerned between reality, make believe, real entrepreneurs versus the people that are trying to make you believe something.
We're all such children, if you will, right? Yeah, definitely mic drop. Think about this, right, for a second. When we were kids, we believed everyone because we didn't know any better. And then we are seeing things with our own eyes. Let me give you an example. The kids that I teach Kung Fu, and the kids think I live in my facility. They think that that's where I am because when they come in, I'm there. When they leave, I'm there. And it's very funny because yesterday I had a little girl come in. She's 5. And I'm somewhere else. She can't see me. I can hear her. And she says to the front desk, she goes, "Where's Sifu? Where is?" And she's like looking for me. She's like, "Where is he?" Like, because she thinks I'm always going to be there waiting for her. And the front desk says to her, "Oh, he's around. Where? Where is he? I need to see him." And then the little girl goes, "Is he sleeping?" So, because I hear her, all of a sudden I say, "I am not sleeping." And then she goes, "Oh my God, where are you? I hear you. I don't see you." And so for her and for other kids who come here, they think that I am constant because I am. Every time I see them, I'm excited to see them. And I let them know that. And sometimes I've been outside my facility and a kid will see me and they're like, "Oh," because they don't see me in my uniform. They see me in street clothes. I'm like, "Oh my God, you left the facility and you're not in your uniform." And they're amazed. They're like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening." And one day, one of the little kids was leaving, and because I was teaching a different class, I changed my outfit. And as the kid is walking out the door, he turns to his dad and he goes, "Is Sifu allowed to wear that outfit?" So for him, his reality is that I only fit one mold, and that's his teacher, his instructor. But when he saw me out of it, it kind of blew his mind a little bit. And so when we think about reality is what we perceive. Like I said earlier, we can all be in a stadium watching a performer, but we all seeing everything from different angles. There have been so many times a stage is usually set in one part of an arena, right? And you have a front and you have a back. But there's certain stages, and I don't know if you've ever been to it. For example, halftime at the Super Bowl. The halftime at the Super Bowl, they usually do it in the middle of the room, or should I say stadium, so that everybody in it can get the whole view, but everybody's going to get a different view. Because as a performer, if I'm performing, you don't see what's behind me or on my left or my right. You don't. But if somebody's there, they'll see. So for example, if somebody was watching me right now from the side, this is what they see as I'm looking at you guys. But the reality is we are visual, we're auditory, we're kinesthetic. So it's about what we see, what we hear, what we feel that really helps shape our own reality. And we can't wait for someone else to shape it for us. This is why a lot of times when somebody tells me I can do that, I'll say, I'm so happy for you. And then I'll turn around and I'll say, show me. Because you have to prove it now. Because you claimed it, now prove it. And for me, that's how I separate reality from make-believe. Proof is in the pudding.
Being able to prove it. I love that illustration, the story that you shared about the little girl, and thinking about how we see things the way we are, but then also the way we want them to be. I think about an example of most of my career of going into rooms and trying to be who I thought I needed to be in those spaces. And eventually what happens when you're in the not necessarily make believe is that you actually start to operate in dysfunction. And then there's a point where there's this identity crisis. And so we mentioned it earlier, when you absolutely start to believe the lies about who you are and who you're not. And James Clear, when he talks about in Atomic Habits, is the environments shape our behaviors. And so if you choose to remain in an environment that allows you to lie to yourself or to believe who you're not, then you can stay there. You stay comfortable. But when you decide that reality of, this is not who I am, this is not in alignment with my core values, it's not in alignment with my purpose, you don't magically wake up one day and flip the switch and now everything's fixed. It's that decision. It's not operating in perfection. It's choosing and deciding each day, what do I need to do in this moment to be the best version of myself? And I see reality is choosing and deciding each day to be braver than the comfort or the lie that wants to keep you stuck where you are, and being uncomfortable and choosing to be in rooms that you feel uncomfortable with and you feel like you might not belong, because that's exactly the room that you need to be in.
Love it. Love it. I'm looking at the comments here, and I've got to say huge shout out to Matt, Farah, Angeline, Emilio. My goodness, a lot of awesome people here this morning.
Yes.
Gabby Abdelgadir out of Canada. Amy, T.O. My goodness. Thank you guys for joining us. Love all the comments. Keep them coming. If you hear anything that we're saying that you want to chime in on, of course, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll be sure to highlight you here. But in terms of everything we're talking about, right? Reality versus make-believe. I think we can all speak to this on some level. And I want to kind of not shift, but kind of talk about another perspective of make-believe versus reality, which is visibility versus viability, right? Two powerful words, visibility versus viability. They sound similar, but they're very different, right? So just because somebody looks rich, right, or has a ton of followers, or has phenomenal motivational content that they leverage or share from other influencers and things like that, or they have fancy graphics, right? A lot of us look at people with fancy graphics and think, ooh, they might be successful, or they might have a lot of money, or they might be influential, or they take pictures on stages, right? The question is, are they actually speaking on the stage, or are they just taking pictures on the stage, right? So ask yourself, just because someone looks rich and has the followers and are on these stages and fancy graphics and all the things I just talked about, right? Does that mean that it's actually true? it's very important to, this is, again, goes back to reality versus make believe. Just because somebody has those things and they look rich and they have those fancy graphics and they have a bunch of followers, that doesn't mean, guys, very important, it doesn't mean they have peace. It doesn't mean they have profit. Just because they have those things doesn't mean they're making revenue. It doesn't mean they have retention with the people they serve. It doesn't mean they have real clients, gang. Okay? It doesn't mean they have healthy relationships. And I can keep going. So again, visibility versus viability. I'd rather be viable than visible. I want profit. I want peace in my heart, in my life. I want systems in order. I want retention with the people that I'm serving. I want them to come back and to say, hey, this is a good place to be. I want real clients, not fake clients, not a revolving door. Who wants a revolving door? I don't want a revolving door. I want my front door, and I lock the back door, and they're happy about it. Right? So that's what it's about. So attention can be rented. Respect has to be earned.
Oh, yeah. Before I say anything, let me share, because Renee talked about being in the right rooms, and we want you in the right room with us. Take a look.
Jose Escobar here. We're at the NYC Mastermind Experience in Tampa, Florida, and we just had so many high-level serial entrepreneurs from all over the country in one room for 3 days, and so many phenomenal, top-notch, world-class speakers that I'm still trying to gather my notes from everything that was said.
And when you talk about notes, one of the things that everyone said to me is that they took things away that they can actually take action on, and that's what separates us from any other mastermind that you would ever go to.
And I think also the thing that separates us was each speaker spoke from the heart. And a lot of them pivoted, including myself, on what they were going to speak about that day and based it off of what was given. And I think that was one of the most special things about the New York City Mastermind, is the authenticity of all the speakers.
We want to see you guys. NYC Mastermind Experience, Atlanta.
See you there.
Peace.
So Lancelot at the moment is shooting a movie, so that's why he's not here with us. And Renee, thank you for stepping in for Lancelot. And those are not easy shoes to fill, because
No.
he is such a well-dressed guy. But right, Jose, we gave him the award already, I think, or we will be giving him an award for best dressed New York City Mastermind Experience.
Why do you think I'm dressed like this? Because I already know I can't compete with him, so might as well just wear this hoodie and a hat.
Yeah.
all today.
Well,
I
look,
can't compete either.
all right. Hang on a second.
Uh-oh.
All right, where was I? I got to put it on. Get the jacket on. Okay. All right. It's got to be on. It's got to be.
Well, see, and that's the difference, because in my mind, I think that I can compete with Lancelot on that style, but in reality, the proof is in the pudding.
It is. So, but you know what? I do like getting dressed up, and but sometimes I do like being in a t-shirt and shorts and running around like a maniac. But I was at an event, and I was not speaking at this event. And meanwhile, people kept coming up to me. When are you going to speak? When are you going to speak? I'm like, I'm not speaking. I'm not speaking. And they're like, oh my God, they should put you on the stage. I'm like, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. And somebody came up to me and said, get on stage. And I said, but I'm not speaking. Just get on stage, take a couple of pictures and tell people you spoke. I'm like, wait a minute. You want me to get up there and fake it? And people say fake it till you make it. I agree with that. But why would I do such a thing and say that I spoke on a stage I didn't speak on? And I love that you brought that up, Jose, because that reminded me of it. It was at an event that everybody thought I should have been speaking. I was never asked to speak. And I didn't want to fake it in that way because it would not be real to me. So Yeah. Am I on social media? I'm on social media a lot. I do have 10 shows. I'm everywhere, right? But I want to present myself the way I fully am. So you may think something of me, and that's your prerogative, right? I know what I think of me. I know who I see in the mirror. And it's not somebody who fakes pictures just to claim something. I don't want to claim something that never happened, because then who am I? I become delusional. I don't want that. So my reality is, this is why I do what I do every single day. And you talked about people being fake. Monday morning, for some strange reason, I could not sleep. So I went to sleep at 11:30. I woke up at 1. So I only had an hour and a half sleep. I could not sleep. So I said, you know what? I prayed, meditated, and I said, I'm going to go to the gym. So at 2 in the morning, I'm driving to the gym. I get there. There's 3 people in the gym at that time. So I start my workout, and I see this young lady come across. Beautiful young lady, tall, and she's wearing all baggy clothes and so forth. And she comes, she grabs her weight, and she goes all the way to the other side of the gym. I'm like, okay, kind of odd, but whatever. I'm doing my thing, right? And so I have to actually, I'm moving in weight, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there's a weight missing. I'm like, oh, I remember she took it. Okay, but she left, right? So at one point, I finish my workout there, and I go to the other part of the gym, and there she is, no longer in baggy clothes. She's in tights, and she's got a camera, and she's taking pictures, and she's posing. She's doing all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay, but she worked out first. She did work out first, right? And then it was her time to shine. And there's nothing wrong with that, because she did the work, and she was probably an influencer, right? But she was not out of shape. She was in amazing shape, but she worked hard on herself first, and then took the pictures so that she can post them, or the video, or whatever she was doing. And it was good that she was there at that time in the morning, because had she gone later, usually I'm at the gym by 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning anyway, and there's a lot more people at that time. Had she gone at 5 in the morning, she may not have gotten all the video footage that she was able to. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's okay to be an influencer. It's okay to post on socials, but do the work like this young girl did. Because I saw her doing the work. She took some heavy weight, and she didn't use any weight in her videos, because I could not see her, because where I was working out, she was literally in front of me. So as I'm lifting, wow, it's not like I'm going to lift with my eyes closed, because I'm just, and I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy that goes to the gym and looks in the mirror as I work out just because I want to see what I look like. I go to the gym. I don't have to look at. I can look at a wall, but because I want to feel what I'm doing. So for me, it's a little. I'm not a mirror workout type of guy, right? And there's a ton of people who do that. They have to be in front of the mirror in order to see themselves pumping it up, to boost themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking anybody who does that, because maybe it's also good to look in the mirror when you work out, just to see your form is correct. So I may be in front of a mirror, and I'll glimpse for a quick second just to make sure my form is correct. But I'm not going to continue staring at myself and say, look at you, you're so cute. No, I don't do that kind of stuff, right? I think that to do the work is the most important thing. as Jose expressed earlier, real entrepreneurs do the work, and their efforts show up. And that's why we're entrepreneurs, because we have to do the work. And that's the reality. The work is the reality. The make-believe is when maybe you throw some really nice clothes and you impress some people, or maybe you drive a really nice car, or you have a nice house, or whatever it is. But the reality is the work that comes first.
Yeah, speaking of, go ahead after you, Renee.
I saw a comment that came across from T.O. about Lancelot, and I absolutely agree, with that. His style is impeccable, and nobody can duplicate that, because it doesn't just come from the surface, it comes from inside. And I think that's also creates the difference between reality and make-believe. And just like Coach T.O., he is authentically himself everywhere. And it's not about the outfit or anything. It's the person, the true core. And so when I think about what Sifu mentioned of doing the work, it's not you did the work, it's in the past, it's active, it's real time, it's something that's happening as we speak. And what's inside of you eventually is going to come out of you. And it's making sure that in those moments that count, that you are representing yourself in a way that's who you are. And that's what I talk about with alignment, because you can only lie to yourself for so long. And eventually your body is going to show signs of it. You're going to be uncomfortable. It will make you sick. It just, something doesn't feel right. And that's that gut saying, hey, this is not who you are. This is not who you're meant to be. And it's gently pushing you out of that comfort zone. But reality is you have to choose. You have to choose and decide. And I will say every moment of the day is choosing and deciding, because it's comfortable to rely on the past or those lies you want to tell yourself of who you're not or what you can't do. It's a decision to be in the real time and actively do the work on yourself to get to where you want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent points. As a matter of fact, Sifu mentioned earlier about the work, right? I guess putting in the work, and yeah, the work is required for success in life and in business, right? You got to put in the work to have a healthy marriage, to be a good parent, to get your health in order, to have a strong connection to God and have a good spiritual life, and to be financially solvent with strong clients and a growing business. I mean, that all requires work. But there is two types of work. There's busy work and there's productive work, which we've heard many times, right? So one can be very, very busy, like a hamster in a wheel, or one can be very productive and actually move your needle faster, right? So make believe entrepreneurs, which is, a thing. These people are addicted to looking busy. That's a real addiction. There's an addiction to looking busy, perception, right? I can tell you right now, reality-based entrepreneurs, right? The people that live in reality in their business. These people are revenue-producing activity type people. Right? They're doing things that actually move the needle. They are all about relationship building, right? They're all about strategic thinking. They're about execution. Notice this here, execute, right? They're about consistency, showing up every single day. There is no such thing as vacations from life and doing the things. Business to me is connected to life, and life is connected to business. I show up equally all day, every day. Even if I'm on vacation, I'm still thinking strategy. I'm thinking what the next thing is. I'm thinking what needs to happen, what doesn't need to happen, right? So a lot of stuff there. So remember this, if anything, If you don't remember anything from what I said today, I can tell you movement is not the same as momentum.
Mm.
And I don't know who said that. I had a mentor of mine. I always just say a mentor because I'm trying to remember all these different people who told me different things. But somebody told me, a mentor of mine said, movement is not the same thing as momentum, Jose. You could be moving and not moving the needle. You could be moving and not creating momentum. Busy versus productive. You could look busy and actually be busy doing things that are going to create results, right? Checking emails for 4 hours might feel productive. Okay, I was sitting here at my desk in my office with my coffee and checking emails for 4 hours. That might feel productive, but closing a deal in 30 minutes is actually productive, right? Can I get an amen out there? Is anybody with me?
Amen.
Amen.
I mean, that's just just a simple example, and there's example after example. I could sit here all day and talk about examples. What actually moved my needle today?
Mm-hmm.
What activity directly impacts my growth today? What am I doing today just to feel important? Oh boy, that's a big one. What am I doing just to feel important? If you really ask yourself that question and you're sincere with yourself, you might find yourself doing some activities that are just busy work, not actually productive work. So, your thoughts?
Wow. Movement is not always momentum, and busy work. Actually, those are some powerful words, because our mind wants to say to us that that's going to get us to the next level. Those actions, that is what it takes to get things done. It doesn't. It's not going to create the legacy that we want. It's when we show up with presence and we do those things that you mentioned, Jose, that are truly moving the needle. Who are we? Who is missing out on the gift if we choose the busy work versus actually being ones who are making a difference and making revenue at the same time? And so what are those things that are keeping us from that next level? If we choose to stay comfortable in make believe, that is limiting our momentum and our ability to step into our next level, which is reality, which is doing the work, which is choosing not to be comfortable.
Before we go on, one more show for you guys. Take a look.
Make sure you are part of the New York City Mastermind. It is one of the most brilliant places that you can spend your time. Whenever you get people that are open to learning, asking questions, and listening, collectively, this is one of the most beneficial things you could possibly do, investing in yourself, because connection, understanding, you get a room full of people that you get to tap into and learn from their experiences, good, bad, but we're all after the same thing, which is to serve people at the highest level.
Oof. We need to serve, right? When we consider who we are, we have to be real with ourselves, because whether you're in a snowstorm, at the beach, at a casino, at the movie theater, in the bathroom, in the shower, in the pool, there you are. There's no lying. You can't lie to yourself. Whose hand is this? Oh, wait a minute, that's my hand. You need to be where you are. And when you are honest with yourself, everything else is beautiful. But when we lie to ourselves, that's where we there's this blurry line of reality versus make-believe. So we need to understand. And when it's blurry, maybe you need to go to an eye doctor and stop seeing the wrong things. You need to understand from the minute you wake up to the minute you fall asleep, understand who you are. And if you don't really know who you are and you've been living this lie, It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up and understand who you are and why you're here. We all have a why. We all have a purpose. Have you found yours? If not, talk to any one of us. We're experts in this field, if you will. We will guide you. But most importantly, join us in Atlanta, where your growth is only based on people who are different than you. Your growth is based on people who know more than you. Your growth is based on those that can help you get to the next level. So that's your reality that you should be looking at. How do I get to my next level if I stay with people who are keeping me at this level? For me to grow, for me to get to the next level, I need to hang out with those people who are next level. And I'm going to tell you, in Atlanta, wow. I'm going to tell you, next level people, come on down.
Love it. Well, my final thought, since we're at the top of the hour, and yes, I second what Sifu just said. Atlanta is going to be absolutely epic. Every NYC mastermind experience we've done has been phenomenal, and they just keep getting better and better and better. And Atlanta going to be special, especially with Tio as our special boots on the ground co-host for this event. It's going to be fantastic. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. Check out the website. It's scrolling at the bottom there, nycmastermindexperience.com to get your tickets. To inquire about speaking and sponsoring, reach out accordingly. But I'm excited about that. So make sure you join us. In terms of my final thought, which is an important final thought, since we're talking about reality versus make-believe, I want to end with this idea to consider, right? There's something called the illusion of overnight success. How many of us have seen people and saying, oh my gosh, look at them. Well, it's because they are younger, or they're older and wiser, or because they're better connected, or because they just have more resources financially, or we start making all these making up reasons why somebody's an overnight success. What people see is their successful launch, the stage they just spoke on, the big announcement they just made, the sold out event. They see all the consistent wins on social media. Of course, everybody just wants to post the wins on social media, right? So we see that and we see, overnight success and but keep in mind, that's an illusion, because what they don't see is the rejections they had to go through. What they don't see is the sleepless nights. What they don't see is all the sacrifices that had to be made, the failed attempts to do things that didn't work out, the self-doubt that we go through on a regular basis, the years of consistency and hard work that was put into this. See, that's what people don't see. Right. And I know this because I've been down that road of rejection and sleepless nights and sacrifices and failed attempts and self-doubt. And, and sometimes if you have to doubt something, just doubt your doubts. Right. Most overnight success, gang, folks, is built on invisible seasons. Right. It is built on the seasons that you can't see. That's the overnight success that people end up saying, oh, it's just because it's Jose, or it's because it's Sifu, or because it's Renee. Like, no, there's things you don't see. So don't buy into the illusion of overnight success, because there's a lot that goes into it. So keep that food for thought top of mind. Don't compare your chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20. All right. So that's where I'll leave that in terms of final thought. And we want to see you in Atlanta. Join us. Make sure you be there.
Absolutely. God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Everyone who's in the room is all about giving. Everyone who show up here and who are in the room are just givers, and they just want everyone to become better and better entrepreneurs, better founders, better coaches, better givers. You are going to meet the best of the best in this room, and it's an intimate experience, right? Sometimes you go to events where there are hundreds or thousands of people, and here in the New York City Mastermind, it's an intimate experience. So you really get to know them. You get to know them as people and not as just a number that's out there. So I highly recommend New York City Mastermind to anyone.